All right, let's jump right in. We are going to tackle one of the most common fears on the planet, speaking off the cuff. This whole explainer is about a super powerful technique called the no apology launch, and it's designed to make you sound brilliant, even when you are totally, completely caught off guard.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. That heart-stopping moment in a meeting, maybe at a family dinner, when all of a sudden every single eye in the room is on you, and someone asks, "So, what do you think?" Your heart just starts hammering, your mind goes completely blank. It's a universal feeling, but what you do in those next 5 seconds? Well, that's absolutely crucial.
So in that unprepared moment, our first instinct is to basically go into a defensive crouch. We try to lower everyone's expectations, thinking, it's the safe play. But that is exactly where we make our first and honestly our biggest mistake.
You know the lines, we say things like, "Oh, wow, I wasn't expecting to speak," or, I haven't really prepared anything for this," or, my personal favorite, "Well, I haven't really given this much thought, but..." We think we're just being humble, but what's really happening? We're broadcasting our own insecurity from the very first word.
And this leads us straight into what I like to call the apology trap. It feels safe, it feels polite, but it's a strategic disaster. You immediately put yourself on the back foot, and you basically signal to your audience that, hey, what I'm about to say, it's probably not worth your time.
And look, this isn't just some random idea. This insight comes straight from the master himself, Dale Carnegie. He points out that apologizing for being unprepared is exactly what everyone expects you to do. So when you defy that expectation, you immediately set a totally different tone, one of confidence, of authority.
This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It highlights this huge gap between what we mean and what people actually hear. You think you're saying, hey, please bear with me for a second, but your audience, they're hearing, I'm not competent, or what I'm about to say isn't very valuable. You lose all your credibility before you even make your point.
Okay, so if apologizing is out, what do you do instead? What's the alternative? Well, you don't fumble around, you launch. And you launch with one of the most powerful tools in human communication, a story.
So here's the technique broken down step by step. First, and this is the hardest part, you just take a deep breath and you actively resist that powerful urge to apologize. Second, you scan your brain for a quick, relevant personal story or an anecdote. It does not have to be perfect. Third, you just start talking. You launch directly into telling that story. And fourth, and this is the magic part, as you're telling it, your brain catches up and your main point just starts to form all on its own.
And this works for a few really powerful reasons. First off, you don't have to think hard to remember something that actually happened to you, right? Experiences are easy to tell. This immediately grounds you and it hides any panic you might be feeling. And crucially, it hooks your audience. I mean, people are literally hardwired to listen to stories. All of this buys your brain precious time to figure out the core message you actually want to deliver.
Okay, so the no apology launch is an amazing trick for the moment. But the real key, the long-term secret to consistently speaking brilliantly off the cuff, that's a strategy that Dale Carnegie called reserve power. So what is reserve power? Well, it's not about memorizing speeches. It's about building such a deep well of knowledge on a topic that you can talk about it from any angle at any time. It's the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you have way more material than you'll ever actually need.
I absolutely love this analogy. Think of your mind like a pantry or a larder. If it's always well stocked with ideas, observations, facts, and experiences, you never have to panic about what you're going to serve up. You can always just reach in and pull something valuable off the shelf.
So how do you actually stock this mental storehouse? It really comes down to building habits, things like continuous reading and learning, just to gather new ideas. Cultivating a habit of really keen observation, noticing the details that other people miss, practicing deeper thinking to connect those dots, and maybe most importantly, consciously turning your everyday experiences into stories and examples you can use later on.
And this is where the tactic and the strategy just come together so beautifully. They create this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle that builds genuine, unshakable confidence over time.
Carnegie just hits the nail on the head here. Confidence isn't something you can just decide to have one day. It has to be earned. It's the direct result of facing your fear, in this case impromptu speaking, and then stacking up a record of successes. Every single time you use the no apology launch and it works, you're building that record. This creates this amazing positive feedback loop. You practice launching with a story. That practice leads to successful experiences, and those successes, they build real, lasting confidence.
And of course, with more confidence, you're way more willing to practice again. It's just a perfect, virtuous cycle.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. The next time you're put on the spot, instead of that panic thought of, what's my point, or, oh no, I'm not ready, just ask yourself one simple thing. What story can I tell?